Good morning, children. Today we are going to study the chapter that is the Indian Constitution. Chapter 5, the Indian Constitution. So, before we move on to the questions and answers in this chapter, let's have a quick look at some of the facts about the Indian Constitution. You know, India won its independence after a long period of struggle, planning, and negotiations. So, after that, a written constitution came into being. So, let's see the salient features of the Indian Constitution. So, let's see the preamble of the Constitution. The preamble of the Constitution of India, which came into existence on 26 January 1950, reads as follows. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, that is social, economic and political justice, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, then equality of status and opportunity, and to promote among them all. Then fraternity assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give unto ourselves this Constitution. So, let's see some of the facts about Constitution. Is the lengthiest written Constitution. The Indian Constitution is the lengthiest written Constitution in the world, where even the minutest aspect is attended to in elaborate detail in order to lessen the misunderstandings and disagreements in a federal form of government. The Indian Constitution is often compared to the size of an elephant, and it is also known as Elephantine Constitution because of its size, which is a product of India's cherished history, diverse social, political, and economic influences that shape a constitution. The incorporation of provisions such as the Public Service Commission, elections, All India Service, organization of the legislature, executive and judiciary of the union and the state, etc., makes the constitution lengthy and bulky. The original constitution of 26 January 1950 consisted of 22 chapters, 395 articles and 8 schedules. The subsequent amendments to the Constitution have raised the number of articles to 450 and schedules to 12. And the Constitution has amended 93 times till January 2007 so far, since its inauguration in 1950. The Indian Constitution is a mixture of many constitutions. Indian Constitution has borrowed extensively from the British Constitution, primarily the systems of parliamentary democracy. Some even contend that the Indian Constitution is a carbon copy of the Government of India Act of 1935. The idea of a written constitution and that of fundamental rights is taken from the Constitution of USA. The directive principles of the state policy draw inspiration from the Irish Constitution, and the Indian federalism is modelled along the Canadian Constitution. The concurrent list and the emergency provisions are drawn from the constitutions of Australia and Germany, respectively. Now let's see Chapter 5, the Indian Constitution. There, the questions and answers. Your first question is this: When was the Constituent Assembly set up? When was the Constituent Assembly set up? Answer 1946. In 1946, the Constituent Assembly was set up. Question number 2. Who was the President of the Constituent Assembly? Who was the President of the Constituent Assembly? Answer Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Dr. Rajendra Prasad was the President of the Constituent Assembly. Question number 3. Which legislation exercised a profound influence on the drafting of the Indian Constitution? Which legislation exercised a profound influence on the drafting of the Indian Constitution? Answer Government of India Act 1935. Government of India Act 1935. Question number 4. Which basic principle of the Indian Constitution has come from the Constitution of Ireland? Which basic principle of the Indian Constitution has come from the Constitution of Ireland? Answer Directive Principles of State Policy. Directive Principles of State Policy. Question number 5. At which two levels does a federal government function? At which two levels does a federal government function? Answer Central and state levels. Central and state levels. Question number 6. The Indian Constitution provides for the suspension of the fundamental rights during a national emergency. From which constitution did it borrow this idea? Question is, the Indian Constitution provides for the suspension of the fundamental rights during a national emergency. From which constitution did it borrow this idea? Answer Weimar Constitution of Germany. Weimar Constitution of Germany. Question number 7. From which constitution was the idea of the parliamentary system adopted by the Indian Constitution? From which constitution was the idea of the parliamentary system adopted by the Indian Constitution? Answer is British Constitution. British Constitution. Question number 8. By which constitutional amendment was the term secularism added to the Indian Constitution? By which constitutional amendment was the term secularism added to the Indian Constitution? Answer 42nd Constitutional Amendment. 42nd Constitutional Amendment. Question number 9. From where did the Indian Constitution borrow the idea of liberty, equality and fraternity? From where did the Indian Constitution borrow the idea of liberty, equality and fraternity? Answer French Revolution. Answer is French Revolution. Question number 10. Which judicial body in India is vested with the power to interpret the Indian Constitution? Which judicial body in India is vested with the power to interpret the Indian Constitution? Answer is Supreme Court. Supreme Court is the answer. Question number 11. Which article of the Indian Constitution prohibits employment of children below the age of 14 years in factories or mines? Question is this. Which article of the Indian Constitution prohibits employment of children below the age of 14 years in factories or mines? Answer is Article 24. Article 24 of the Indian Constitution prohibits the employment of children below the age of 14 years in factories or mines. So you write these answers in your textbook and study well. Today's activity is you should do the test given in the description box of the YouTube link. Click on to the description box. There you can see the link of test. Click on to the link and you attend the test.